We've been watching this develop with team coverage of this dangerous storm with crews all along the coast. From Matagorda to Galveston to Corpus Christi, some of those areas already seen rain and wind from Harvey. We're also expecting an update any moment now from Houston's mayor and the Harris County judge. But first, let's get over to meteorologist Brooks Garner for the update on Harvey's path. Brooks.
Guys, I'm going to spare you the grandiose statements saying this is, historic and all this. I'm just going to give you the information you need because this is a serious situation. For Houston, in our viewing area, we're going to miss the core of these major hurricane winds. So I want to say that right off the bat. We will see flooding rains over the next several days with scattered weak tornadoes rotating around this thing. But as for getting impacts from what will be a hurricane to remember, we're not going to see that in our central viewing area. That said, this is a major Category 3 hurricane, winds of 125 miles an hour. It is currently making its way toward the coastline just north of Port Aransas, right near Rockport, probably making landfall just above that and affecting places directly as far north as southern Matagorda County. That's where within this inner core we could see winds gusting over 150 miles per hour. So meteorologically it's very impressive. Let's talk about the effects here in the Houston area. Winds of 125 miles per hour right now. Those could go up before it makes landfall. It is expected to make landfall outside of our viewing area with those heaviest winds outside of our viewing area. But for viewers in places like Bay City and Matagorda County, and also once you get into places like Wharton County, maybe El Campo, you guys could see wind gusts around 60 miles per hour. So it's going to look a little windy and wild out there. But as far as what will be a very impactful major hurricane along the Texas coast, we're missing that. Now, this thing stalls, and we've almost run out of room here. It's kind of silly to look at this. It looks like a bunch of gobbledygook. It just means this thing's going to sit and stall, and that's no laughing matter. That means major flooding. And so basically travel discouraged, and it means major flooding within this hurricane zone. It also means major flooding outside of the hurricane zone, east of the system. That's where we are, and that's where we could see rainfall totals through Wednesday. I mean, this is a super long duration event. Rain totals through Wednesday eclipsing 30 inches. Now, the forecast for this thing is that eventually it'll go maybe back over water, maintaining a strong tropical storm strength, but more so than the winds, maintaining that moisture feed, and then it comes up into our neck of the woods maybe Wednesday. And that's where the wild card is. How much rain do we get? Well, we're starting to get those bands of rain, and we're starting to see winds gusting over 40 at the beaches. Also, see these little sort of fuchsia-colored, pink-colored polygons. These are tornado warnings for what essentially are, at this point, weak tornadoes. We've had several issued today. None have been verified. However, there's a chance that some of the water spouts coming off could, in very isolated pockets, produce some brief wind gusts to 80 or 90 miles an hour in a rotational configuration, thus the tornado designation. All right, let's talk about our watches and warnings. Tropical storm warning for conditions expected to become tropical storm tonight into tomorrow. And as far as the eye can see, probably through early next week, that means winds gusting 40, 50 miles an hour, most of it down toward the coastline. Hurricane warnings, Matagorda County points south, just like yesterday. That does include Victoria. That means hurricane conditions, winds over 74 miles an hour, a possibility. But here in Houston, this is what we need to know. Overnight, rain on and off. There's also that tornado threat. Saturday and Sunday, rain on and off and a tornado threat. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the rain threat continues. Now, the tornado threat is one where these aren't going to be like those Midwestern tornadoes where you get the huge long track tornadoes. These are going to be fast hitting with little warning. So when it comes to winds, the widespread major hurricane winds will be relegated to areas well south and east of us. I've plotted some forecast wind speeds. Tomorrow at noon, could see hurricane force gusts continuing up around Victoria and Port Lavaca. But notice how there's a sharp cutoff. Wharton and Palacios, winds about 45 to 50 miles an hour in gusts, and in Houston around 30. The exact track of this determining exactly how high your winds are. Still a power outage threat from this because when we do get a lot of this rain, it's not going to take much wind to start pushing trees around, especially once you get southwest of the Houston area. So let's talk about rainfall totals through Wednesday. And this is where a lot of the talk has been for our area, the major impacts. This is the kind of rain that can cause widespread flooding in places that typically don't flood. So far, the rain we've seen today has been more of a nuisance category. It slows down traffic. There's some puddles around. But once we get into the middle of the week, that's when things get bad. Guys?
All right. Thank you, Brooks, very much.